Hello, this is a short video about my experiences with the Breville One Touch coffee machine. First of all, I have to say I'm not an experienced servicer of these things. I'm not a huge coffee aficionado. I just like coffee, and I've had this for about 2 years. It worked really well, makes good coffee with little fuss for me, as all the reviews have said, and then it stopped working. And guess what? It was my fault because I didn't clean it out properly enough. So here is the machine, almost as you will know it, except I've already done the dismantling, so I can start taking off the water tank, the milk tank, and I can take off the panels here, which I had previously undone. I'm not going to show you in this video how to actually take them off. There's various screws and things like that, and it's a real pain, but you know, if you're into this type of thing, you can figure it out yourself. And we're now getting down to the basic machine. What I have done here, whenever you do take that panel off, is that these, which are the buttons and the lights, will actually flop out, but I've got a little piece of tape in there just to hold it in position. So first of all, let me explain how it works, because I found there was almost nothing about this machine on the web or on YouTube, which is why I'm making this video, just to help other people. Now, I have to give you the health and safety thing first. Don't open up one of these things unless you're really confident about what you're doing. There's electricity in here, there's bloody hot boilers and stuff like that. This is a recipe for getting hurt. So if you don't know what you're doing, don't touch. However, what happens is that the water goes in through a little valve here. There's a flow meter so the machine can detect the water is flowing in. And then it goes into the pump. This is the pump here, and the pump is a standard one which you will find in many machines, and you can look it up on the web and replace it if you need to. And from what I read, pumps in general are one of the first things that will eventually go on a coffee machine. Wasn't in my case, the pump was fine. The high pressure water from the pump then comes through to here, and there's a very important little valve in here, which it's almost impossible to see, but it is actually in here. And that's the overpressure valve. And that's designed that if the pump is pumping and somebody else up ahead of it is blocking it, that the pressure is somewhere to go. And it will go down an exhaust valve or pipe, which I'll come back to later. But normally the water will come, under pressure will then come up, and it's fed up through here into the boiler. And you can see the boiler here, and you see the top of it. And I was very pleasantly surprised whenever I opened the boiler up, because I was expecting something sort of quite cheap and you know, sort of holes drilled through it and stuff. Actually, it seems to me to be quite well made, and importantly, you can take it apart, but I'll come back to that. Now, when on the boiler are a number of important safety devices. There's a temperature measurement device up here. There is a safety cutout device, and there is in here the ultimate safety, which is a one-time global fuse, which will actually melt and cut off the supply to the heater if the boiler gets too hot. So there's a lot of safety devices in here, which I was quite impressed with. Now, whenever the water comes out, it comes into here, and it's split two ways. So let's talk about the stuff that is going down to here to make your espresso. And that, you can follow the pipe around if you like, it comes round to this solenoid. And this solenoid is a three-way solenoid. It's very cleverly arranged, I think. In one part, the pipe just goes down, goes into the head, and that's where you put in your coffee, and it comes your espresso. However, when the pump, when this three-way solenoid valve is not actuated, what it actually does is it connects the coffee head to this waste pipe. And this is the other waste, this is the same waste pipe I was talking about, which ultimately will go down to the underneath here, and that's where your excess water will be collected. The purpose of this, which I've seen in more expensive coffee machines, is very simple. Whenever the boiler is heating up, the passage is blocked and nothing very much happens. Whenever the controls or you demand espresso, the solenoid opens, connects the boiler through, and high pressure water comes down through the coffee. Bob's your uncle. as soon as it's finished dispensing espresso, the solenoid deactivates, but because it's a three-way solenoid, what it actually does is connect the head here through to the waste pipe. And what you've got then is a certain amount of hot water under pressure which is stuck in this lower part on its way to go down to the coffee. And now you've got almost a vacuum. You've got the air pressure on this side, and it just sucks the water back out. And you can actually see it whenever you operate this with the lid off. You see, as soon as you finish dispensing espresso, you see a back there. And what that does is it clears out the water that's in the pipes below there. So the next time you're making coffee, you're not actually starting off with a mixture of that cold water and hot water. It's a neat feature, which I hadn't appreciated. The other exit for the hot water from the boiler is to come round, and I'm not really going to show it very much in here. There is I would call it a second boiler in here. And the high pressure water comes down to this valve. This is just a two-way valve on-off, and whenever it's required, then it opens, the water goes into this boiler. You can almost see a sort of black box in here, and that then heats it up beyond the normal espresso temperature up to, I guess, near boiling, and thence it will come out, and you can follow the things right here, out of this valve. And this valve is arranged that whenever you put in the water dispenser, the milk dispenser, it actually operates a little valve in here so that the connection is made, and the steam, as it is now, it comes in here, and when you open this up, it actually reminds me of the way a steam engine, they get the water into the boiler. It's an injector system, so the rush of steam going past creates a vacuum, sucks the milk up, and it then comes out through here and down. Ultimately, there's a little piece I haven't got on here which dispenses the the milk into the coffee. So that's the way the system operates. There's a lot of electronic controls which are down here, safely out of the way. And there are a lot, when you look up here, of wires, various pipes and things, and in the middle of it is a boiler which gets really damn hot. And when I opened this up, I could see that the wiring and everything had all been carefully placed around the place so that it doesn't touch the hot boiler. So as I've reassembled it, because I've disassembled a lot more than this, I've put in some cable ties and stuff like that, and I've gone to a lot of trouble to make sure that nothing that would be upset by heat is anywhere near this boiler, because if you accidentally touch it, and I did, it's damn hot. So if you are going into the machine and you're operating, moving around, then sort that lot out before you switch the machine on again, or you will be in trouble. Now, what are the faults that you can get in this? There are loads of parts in here, but in most things that I've seen, they've said that the number one thing, especially when your espresso starts going off, is probably the pump. And I say they're about 25 quid or so to buy, standard off the shelf. I got mine through Amazon, and it's easy to replace. It's a little bit of a hassle in terms of unscrewing various bits and pieces. I'm not going to go into it at the moment. You do need to be careful that in putting the wiring back in, that you also put in, there's a thermal device in there, so if the pump gets too hot, it switches the pump off. So the machine will operate if that's not been put back in correctly, but it's no longer safe. You've got to be careful about that. However, in my opinion, and talking to other casual users of coffee machines, the biggest problem is not degunging the machine, not cleaning it out properly. And whenever I opened this up, I was delighted to discover you could actually get at the boiler. There are 4 large bolts in here, an Allen key going in here will remove them, and you can actually take the boiler apart. I found I needed to loosen it off its mount just to give me a bit of jiggle factor, but you can take it apart. A lot of messy wiring and safety devices on here, but you've got to be careful, photograph it, take it apart, and then when you put it back together, make sure you put them all back in correctly. But you can get in there, and what I found, surprise, surprise, was that the exit, which is here, to the 2 uses of the water, was scaled up. I'd had the machine for about 2 years, I'd cleaned it a couple of times, I wasn't cleaning it enough, naughty me. So that was what it was. Once I took the parts out and cleaned them with proper stuff, I actually used descaler from a dishwasher. I'm sure you shouldn't, but I did, and it worked fine. Cleaned everything up afterwards, put the machine back together, and lo and behold, it now works. So the moral to me is to do a proper cleaning cycle with vinegar or whatever way you want to do it, but do it regularly, and so you don't have to go through all that I went through. And then, as I say, once I put it back together again, it's now working. I've been operating it with the panels off for about a week now, just to make sure there's no leaks, everything looks okay. And what I'm about to do after this video is to put the panels back on again, screw it up together, and it's all fine. The bad news is in the meantime I lost confidence and I've ordered a second one, so I've now got 2 of these, but not the end of the world. So for those of you that have been searching for something about this machine and how it works and how you might set about repairing it, that I hope this is of some help. I certainly wish I could have watched this before I started. Have a good day.